Hi, folks. Kim Mitchell here. You know, however you choose to get around, your ATV, your snowmobile, your boat, car, if you have a motorcycle, all these things take 100% of your attention and skill to operate safely. Alcohol impairs that, and bad things can happen. So, be smart, okay? You know what I'm going to say next.
This message brought to you from the Safe and Sober Awareness Committee.
We are back on Freshwaves. We've got Keith Pitts on the line from Arizona this morning, and we're talking about cross-border shopping. Now, one of the things, Keith, that we should actually talk about is this NAFTA agreement that has not changed but is going to.
Right. So currently the existing NAFTA agreement, which we've been working under for the last 10 or 15 years, is in place. There's no changes to it. Other than, as I mentioned at the beginning, there are some new tariffs. So anything that is made in Canada, the United States, or Mexico under NAFTA can come back into Canada duty-free. Now, with the exception, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, is that it can be duty-free, but possibly not tariff-free, meaning that those items that the Trudeau government put in place on July 1st, predominantly aluminum, steel, and a number of other things, there may be a 10% tariff placed on them, but it's still no duty.
Okay.
So there's no change. There's no changes to that. Now, the other key thing is there's a thing called de minimis, and de minimis means that any product under a certain amount always comes in duty and tax free. And that de minimis number that we have under NAFTA today is $20. So that means that any single item coming into the country valued at $10 or less, there's no duties, there's no taxes, there's no HST or anything. With the new North American agreement between Mexico, the U.S., and Canada, Canada has agreed to raise that from $20 to $40. Now, that's a doubling of it, which everybody goes, wow, isn't that good? Well, it's really good until you figure out what the other countries are. And we have one of the lowest de minimis standards in the world. Even at $40, we're still going to be lower than most others. The U.S. Has a $100 limit. So that means that anybody from the U.S. can come to Canada and shop, and any single item that is less than $100 U.S., there's no duties or taxes on it. Okay? So the other key thing that is going to come under the new agreement is that duty-free and tax-free numbers, you can ship online from the U.S. to Canada any item valued at $150 Canadian or less. Okay, and that will again come in duty-free and hopefully tariff-free if those tariffs are taken off. Now, there's a real caveat to that, which we have to be aware of. If you ship via UPS or FedEx or any under third-party courier, that law applies. If you ship via the United States Post Office and it's handed over to the Canadian Post Office, then that number drops back down to the $40 again. So what the government has not extended is that increase in duty-free limits to any items coming in via the post office.
Okay, but it would apply if you were driving back and forth.
If you're not if you're driving back and forth, you've got that as well. You're okay for that, but as I said, just nothing can come through the post.
Okay.
Which doesn't make sense. If we've got a post office that's losing money, you think they turn around and say, "Oh, we're going to make you competitive with FedEx and UPS." But
right.
In their infinite wisdom, I can't understand why they're not doing that.
Infinite wisdom. You use that with the tongue in cheek, don't you?
Yes, I do. I mean, you think you're going to turn around and say, "Why don't we use the service that we own to bring products in to the country?" But as I've said to you before, buying in the U.S., even if it's not Black Friday, I mean, I always use a third-party shipping. I ship it to a location in Buffalo. I drive down. I go across. I have my anchor, Buffalo wings for the day and do whatever it is and do a little bit of shopping and bring everything back. I would say in the last probably 5 to 6 years, I don't think I've ever shipped an item from the U.S. into Canada.
Yeah. Well, you go down and get it, and I think that's what you say about making a whole day of it in Buffalo is a really good thing. Give us an idea of what kinds of things we can save money on if we do a day trip to Buffalo.
Well, definitely on clothes, and I'm going to put an emphasis on kids' clothing. Most of the kids' clothing is not taxed if it's under $100. So if you're looking at back to school clothes for your kids, if you're looking for seasonal clothes changes, i.e., they're going to go from the winter months into the spring and summer months, a trip down to Buffalo and doing that, whether you're going to the outlet malls, whether you're going to Kohl's, Walmart, or whatever, you're probably going to save a minimum, and even with currency conversion, you're going to be saving 50% on clothes. I've got three grandkids, and my wife buys for them, and she goes to Carter's and those kind of places, and comes home all the time and shows me outfits that she's paying $6 and $7 for that I know are $30 and $40 back in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, shoes as well. Sporting equipment. If there's anybody out there that a golfer or a baseball player or soccer player, and you're looking for soccer shoes or golf shoes or things like that, then definitely either online or go to Dick's Sports and buy those products and bring them back in. I bought a pair of golf shoes last time I was down here. I think they cost me $39. And when I was back in Canada, I looked at them at Golf Town, and they were $149.
Yikes. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, even if I'm charged 100% duty, I'm still better off.
Okay. So, we've talked, we've talked about some of nice items like that, but what about alcohol? Let's have the alcohol talk, because it is near and true to most people's hearts. Sure,
absolutely. And I think what we have to first off say, there's two ways of bringing alcohol into Canada. One is what they call duty-free. And duty-free alcohol is based on the amount of time that you are out of Canada. If you are out of, you're just going over for the day, you cannot bring in any duty-free alcohol. If you're 48 hours or more, you are allowed one bottle per person, duty-free. That means that when you come back into the country, you will not be charged duty on that, you will not be charged taxes on that, or anything else. The second way of bringing alcohol into Canada is what they call a casual import. And under a casual import, any Canadian, regardless of the amount of time they're out of the country, whether you're out 15 minutes, 15 days, or whatever, you are allowed to bring 41 liters of alcohol back into the country under what they call the casual import law. Now, you will pay duty on it, and you will pay taxes on that when you bring it into the country. But what you've got to do is you've got to be able to figure out, is it still worthwhile to do that? And I always like using the example of going across to premium liquors in Buffalo, and where you can buy a 1.75 bottle of Smirnoff's vodka for $9.95. So now what we've got to do with that when we come to the border is they are going to translate that into Canadian dollars. So your $10 bottle is going to become a $13.50 bottle of liquor. The next thing that they're going to do is they are going to add a 100% duty and taxes onto that. So that means that you're going to get another $13.50 of duties and taxes added onto that bottle of liquor, meaning that it's sitting in your car now after you've paid the US $9.95 and the duties and taxes. You've paid about $27 for that bottle of liquor. Now, here's where your comparison comes in. If you go to the LCBO and you want to buy that bottle of liquor, that's probably going to cost you between $57 and $65. So at $27, you still have a phenomenal savings after paying the duties and taxes on that.
Wow. Now,
and
do they have Black Friday sales at the liquor store?
And beer is cheaper than that.
Do they have Black Friday sales at the liquor store?
Yes, absolutely.
What? I was just being funny. They do?
No, you get, I think that, what was the one I saw here? Buy a bottle of wine at the regular price, get the second bottle for 5 cents.
What? Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Wow. So I guess you have to check the flyers before you go down, because I happen to be going to Niagara tomorrow, and I could just nip across the border into Buffalo. How far away is the wine store from the border? It can't be that far.
Oh, 15 minutes drive.
Oh my goodness. Okay. I wouldn't want to go on Friday morning, but Thursday might be an option.
Yeah, Thursday might be a good stay over. Yeah, stay at the Sheraton Casino. It's always a lovely place to stay.
Well, we've already got a hotel in Niagara, so we can go over and come back.
Yeah, that's easily done. But yeah, and as I say, and I use for the example, spirits, which is the highest taxed at 100%. If you're just doing wine, then you're looking at probably about a 35% tax. So you go down and you buy a nice case of wine. I think I've mentioned this before. My wife drinks J-Lore, which down here I think is on right now at $6.95 a bottle versus $18 a bottle back home. So you're looking at, $6 plus 30% to that. You're looking at about $7.25 or $9 roughly a bottle Canadian converted to get across the border. So you're still going to save almost $10 a bottle. Or if you buy a case, you can save, $120 on a case of wine.
That's including duties and taxes?
That's including duties and taxes.
It's unbelievable. Every year I talk to you, we've been doing this show now for 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Every year I talk to you, Keith, I am amazed. And I've heard it before, but it's just, some part of it doesn't seem real. Even the merchandise that you can get in the States. And I don't feel anymore like I'm being an anti-Canadian for shopping in the U.S. when the retailers aren't really being pro-Canadian, are they? They're not being fair to us somehow, nor is the government.
Well, I think, and from the retail standpoint, there's a couple of factors. Yes, the retailers are inflated prices up here, but in Canada. But the other thing is too, that I've always said before, too many people touch a product in Canada. When it is manufactured, it then has to go to a national distribution center, then to a regional distribution center, then to something else, then to something else. So 4 or 5 people have touched that product before it ever gets on the shelf at the store. And every one of those people have got to be making, 15, 20% on that just to cover their costs. So it doesn't take long to take, that dollar item that came across the border from the U.S. to make it a $2 or $2.50 item by the time it gets to Canada. And, all I ever say to people is, why don't you cut out all the middlemen? If that item's being bought for $1 in the U.S. anyway, why don't you be the one that's bringing it across the border? Put it in the back seat of your car as opposed to, would you theoretically hand it off to a courier that hands it to another courier that stores it someplace that does something else? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Yeah, not at all. So that's what I say, and we've got to put as much money in our pockets as we can after the day. I mean, I read horror stories all the time back home of elderly people and people on fixed incomes that are deciding whether they should eat 1 month or pay their hydro bill. So. From my standpoint is let's buy the product at the cheapest price that I can, and that leaves me that extra money, for travel throughout the country or doing whatever I need to do with that, and putting that money back into the Canadian economy, but not paying it on a jar of peanut butter.
Yeah. I tell the Halls story just because I love the story of the Halls candies.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which a lot of people don't know that the Halls candies are made in Montreal. And a number of other products are made in Canada as well. And what we have is a thing called country pricing. And country pricing is based on the demand and the competition in the country. So I always tell the story of being able to go down to Walmart in Buffalo, and I pick up a bag of 5 packs of Halls candies or whatever it is for 69 cents or 79 cents, and then I go to the Walmart in Canada, and that same bag of candy is going to cost me $2.75, and yet it's made in Montreal, and it's cheaper for them to ship it down to the U.S. and put it on and make the markup than it is to do it at a Canadian store.
This is me on the radio shaking my head. I know the listeners can't see me, but the head shaking that goes on when I'm talking to you is just, Jay's doing the same thing. We're both shaking our heads. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's all done. As I say, that's the pricing. If the Canadian manufacturers want to be competitive in the U.S. marketplace, they have to price their goods based on what the U.S. pricing is for similar goods, whether that's a can of soup or fruit or vegetables or ketchup or whatever it is, and they make the increase in the margins when they sell it into Canada. And that's the other reason too why you're seeing a lot of Canadian U.S. retailers are coming to Canada now. J. Crew and Nordstrom and these guys are starting to open up in Canada, and if you go on the two different websites and you start looking at the prices, I've used this example before of a dress at J. Crew that my daughter wanted, and jcrew.com, which was the U.S. site, it was $149, and the same dress at jcrew.ca, which is the Canadian site, was $349. So where's the $200 difference in that dress?
And even if you do the conversion from U.S. dollars to Canadian dollars, it's still way cheaper.
Still going to save $100. That's
just crazy.
Anybody there who's thinking of, you got a wedding coming up or something like that, you want to drive down to Buffalo or New York and buy your wedding dress and your bridesmaids dresses and all those kind of things or whatever. Don't buy those back in Canada. The prices are just ridiculous.
Yeah, because when you start getting into the really high ticket numbers then, and you're talking about thousands of dollars instead of a couple of $100, then the savings is even more, isn't it?
Oh, yes, by far.
Yeah, it goes up exponentially.
And another point, matter of fact, I was just listening to a show last night that had mentioned on Black Friday that jewelry on Black Friday in the U.S. is the cheapest by about 75% that you will ever find it. So that the jewelers in the U.S. are discounting almost 75% on their products.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anybody looking you're heading across the border and you're looking for a watch, a bracelet, or some kind of a pendant or something for the kids, maybe a locket, Black Friday is the time to buy that as well.
Okay. These are all great tips to know, Keith. We love talking to you, especially at this time of the year. And, even if it's not Black Friday, any time of the year or even the holiday season, head on down to the States and grab some great deals. And it doesn't make you an anti-Canadian, does it?
No, I don't believe it does. And be a smart shopper. I said this before. Make a list. Don't go. You're not going to get the deals if all you do is jump in the car and say, "Oh, let's head to Buffalo for the day," and walk up and down aisles and pick stuff up. Do some research before you go. The flyers are online for every retailer in the U.S., whether it's a Tops grocery store or Walmart or anybody else. Take a look in there. See what you need. Food comes into Canada duty-free all the time, so all you're paying is that difference in the dollar, and there's no taxes, there's no duties. You can bring. I usually go down there. I bring back $200, $300 worth of food, things like peanut butter and soups and iced teas and stuff that I'm saving 50% on by bringing them back. But do some pre-planning and say, what do I need? Do I need, XYZ? My wife picked up a Mixmaster yesterday in Costco. Those things with the two blenders, not the bowl one, not the Cuisinart style, but the handheld Mixmaster for doing your mashed potatoes or whatever.
Yep.
And it was on sale for $11.95.
What?
and she says, this would cost me $45, even on a sale back in Canada. So she says, how do I not buy this? I said, exactly. And the same thing, are you going to go to a shower? Are you going to be invited to a housewarming or something this year? If you're seeing deals like that, buy a couple of Mixmasters or toasters or coffee makers or whatever it is if it's a great deal, and give them away as a gift.
And I guess if what we were talking about holds true earlier, then you could go on with your VPN and get the Black Friday stuff and have it shipped up here, and it's still in the end going to be cheaper.
Yep, it still will be.
Yeah, as long as they don't use Canada Post.
Yeah, exactly. But what you want to do with that too is you want to accumulate it. You don't want to buy 10 items and have 10 items shipped here, because you're gonna pay shipping on every one of those as an individual item. You want to send them, and there's a number of places that do what they call a consolidated shipping. So all 10 of those items will go into this location. They'll put them all in one box and then ship one box to you in Canada.
Oh, that's cool. How do you manage that?
Yeah, well, again, online, there's places called Connects, there's cross-border shoppers, there's a number of things that you can go on to, and they'll offer you a consolidation, and do that. Get it all in one box. You only pay the one shipping fee for coming across, as opposed to the 10 shipping fees, especially if it's small items. If you're shipping small electronics items or, personal effects like clothes or things like that, they'll all go in one box and be shipped up here for $20 versus, $6 or $7 for every single box.
Wow, you're just a wealth of information. I mean, stereotypically...
doing this a lot. 15 years I've been doing this, so...
Yeah, but stereotypically, you think it's the women that do the shopping and they get the good deals and they're the real sticklers for the deals. The men are kind of more in line with, just get it if you need it and worry about it later, Whereas you're very, very in tune with all the deals that are going on.
Well, we have to be smart now. We have to be smart on what we do. And, would you go out the front door of your house and just throw $20 bills out on the lawn?
Exactly. I hear you.
I wouldn't.
No.
I wouldn't. So that's the way I kind of view this in my head. I turn around and I go, okay, if I've got to go and do, a couple $100 worth of shopping, or I'm going to get, for birthday gifts or anniversary gifts or whatever it is from that standpoint, well, I wouldn't go out on my front lawn and throw $20 bills away. So if I look at that's exactly what I'm doing if I'm going to go to the Canadian retailers to do that versus going down to Buffalo once every 2 or 3 months, then in my mind, it's real easy, to figure this out.
It just makes sense. It just makes pure sense. Well, Keith, we're coming to the end of our hour. Thank you so much for calling us from Arizona. We're usually looking at your smiling face here before you leave to go down to the States, but it's just a pleasure talking to you. It's always fascinating, always some great deals to be had, and nothing hits home to Canadians more than saving a few dollars.
Great, Brenda. Well, it's good talking to you again, and to all my Canadian fans up there, and everybody else, stay warm and enjoy your winter. And I'll be thinking of you when I'm out on the golf course.
Well, we'll think of you too, and we'll think, wish we could go down and visit Keith. Maybe one day we'll give out your American address on the air, just so people can drop by when they're down there.
I'll give out my P.O. box in Buffalo.
I remember one year you gave us the address of the mayor of Buffalo to use as a shipping reference. That was so funny.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks a lot, Keith. Have a great day. Enjoy yourself down there in the sunny south.
Thanks, Brenda. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jay, that was wonderful talking to Keith Pitts. It always is. We have such a great time when he's joining us in the studio. And for anybody who's interested in looking up more information, he has his book, which is Two Sides of 49, the Cross-Border Shopping Guide. And he has his second edition now, which is all up-to-date information. Of course, once NAFTA changes to whatever it's going to morph into, there'll be another upgrade, I'm sure. But for now, this is the updated version. It's $16.95, and you can get it at his website, which again, of course, is Two Sides of 49. And it plans out a whole day of going to Buffalo just for a day, of not staying overnight. So I've heard people say before, oh yeah, I listened to Keith's show, and he goes on to say about, how you could save all this money, and then you have to spend $100 on a hotel, and all your savings goes out the window. No, what he actually has in his book is a guide to go shopping in Buffalo for one day. For one day. I wouldn't go on Friday. That's me. Black Friday's not my thing, but if it's yours, go catch it on some of the deals. But you can literally go for the day. You do pay duty and taxes on the alcohol that you bring back. But while you're there, you get gas for your car, you get an oil change, you get your tires put on. There are gas stations in Buffalo that will house your tires. So you can get your tires put on and change to winter tires and all this kind of stuff. And you save a whole heck of a lot of money. So it's worth picking up the book. It's worth taking a read. I can honestly say that my husband and some other skeptics in my world said, oh, well, it all sounds good on the air, but it's not really that good. And when they read the book, they were shocked. Because when you read the book, you get the background, you get the statistics, you get all the things that you need to validate the fact that this is actually a cool thing to do. And it doesn't make you an anti-Canadian. You're not really taking money away from Canadian retailers because guess what, folks? The big box stores are owned by huge U.S. conglomerates. Walmart is not a Canadian-owned store. They really aren't. And they will shut down in a heartbeat if their numbers aren't working, regardless of how many people they employ at the moment. So the loyalties are not being crossed, and you're not being a bad person for going down to Buffalo for the day. And it's a fun trip. What the heck?
Sure is. Definitely.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your help behind the board today, Jay. Thanks to everybody here at Whistle for their cooperation and making Freshwaves the success that it is. And we will be joining in next week with a great talk from Yolanda Pettifer and Hal Horton. And the show is going to be about Christmas trees. When you can buy them, how to take care of them, whether they're fake or whether they're real, they all still need care. How to make them look the best that they can look, and which ones are the right ones for you. That's the show next week. So we hope everybody has a wonderful day. Everyone be safe, be warm, and be happy. This is Brendan Masson from Freshwaves signing off. We're going to hear the Bare Naked Ladies with Shopping because, hey, that's what we've been talking about. So here's the Bare Naked Ladies, some Canadian content on our cross-border shopping show. That's a little ironic, but that's okay. So is Alanis Morissette. They're ironic and Canadian. Yeah. Take it away, Jay, before I blabber myself into Netherland.
Actually, we got the song, I know Keith was telling us about this one from the Pet Shop Boys in Shopping.
Oh, we're doing the Pet Shop Boys?
Yeah.
Okay, Sunday we'll do both.
Keith, okay. I know he enjoys that one.
Okay.
Selling your history. How we go about it is no mystery. We check it with the city, then change the law. Are you looking forward? Now we want some more. S-H-O-P-P-I-N-G, we're shopping. It's easy when you've got all the information. Inside help, no investigation. No questions in the house, no give and take. We're shopping. We're S-H-O-P-P-I-N-G. We're shopping. Our gain is your loss. That's the price you pay. I heard it in the House of Commons. Everything's for sale. we're shopping. We're shopping. We're S-H-O-P-P-I-N-G. We're shopping. We're shopping. We're shopping. We're shopping. We're shopping. We're shopping.
Well, you know that it's going to be alright. I think it's gonna be alright. Everything will always be alright when we go shopping. Well, you know that it's going to be alright when we go shopping. It's always la 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 la. Let the shopping spree begin. La 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 la. Everybody wins. So shut up and never stop. Let's shop until we drop. Well, you know that it's going to be alright. I think it's gonna be alright. Everything will always be alright when we go shopping. It's always la 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 la. Shopping never ends. Shopping with our friends. Shopping once again. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la. It's never enough until you've got all the stuff. When the going gets rough, just shop with somebody tough. Well, you know that it's going to be alright. I think it's gonna be alright. Everything will always be alright when we go shopping. Well, you know that it's going to be alright. I think it's gonna be alright. Everything will always be alright when we go shopping. It's always when we go shopping. When we go shopping. When we go shopping. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la. It's always la 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 la.
You've been listening to Freshwaves, a Whistle FM production. I'm your host, Brenda Masson, and our technical producer is Jason Rumball. Tune in every Wednesday at 10 a.m. for Freshwaves here on Whistle FM, 102.9 on the FM dial and whistlefm.com anywhere in the world. Freshwaves is available on podcast too. Just go to whistlefm.ca or freshwaves.ca. We podcast all of the Freshwaves shows so that you can listen at your leisure. Freshwaves. It really is